Welcome to the Reiki Witch Podcast. I'm Becca, your host, a Reiki master and practicing witch with a passion for blending the mystical and the practical. Whether we're uncovering ancient wisdom to deepen your spiritual practice or navigating strategies to streamline your spiritual business, this podcast is your sacred space to grow, learn, and thrive. Have you ever felt guilty for charging money or feeling like you're charging too much for your spiritual gifts? Maybe you've told yourself, I just want to help people, or I should make this as affordable as possible so I can help more people. Look, I've been there. I used to offer Reiki for donations or for free because I believed it was the most loving, generous thing to do. But over time, things started to crack. Today, we begin a sacred two-part series called the Sacred Exchange Series. And this first episode is all about the emotional and spiritual side of money wounds in our work as wellness and spiritual entrepreneurs. Let's begin with my story, because chances are you'll hear echoes of your own in it. And remember, this applies to anyone who offers spiritual or wellness services. That's life coaching, that's Reiki, that's shamanic work, even teaching yoga, anything like that. So in the beginning, I offered Reiki for free or by donation. Because I was giving Reiki out of my house and it all felt so messy and unprofessional, I would turn down people who offered to pay me. It just didn't feel right. Now, don't get me wrong, I was still practicing in the very beginning, right? I had just gotten my Reiki attunement and just finished the classes. I just did not feel like I should be charging because I was still learning. I didn't think I deserved to be paid. I didn't think I was skilled enough yet. At that time, the practice sessions that I was giving to others felt like the exchange. Someone giving me their time and trust was enough. And that made sense because I was still learning. I was excited and grateful to just have someone to practice my gifts on. And I truly believed that putting a price on it would somehow taint it. So I kept things free and donation-based in the beginning. And then as I grew my practice professionally, I still undercharged myself. And I would give and give and give. And I loved doing it for a while. Here's what I started to notice, though, as time went on. I became exhausted. I had less time for projects that actually paid, and resentment quietly started building underneath my love for this work. It was really hard to admit, but I realized something important. Undercharging was actually dishonoring my gifts, and it was rooted in something deeper, wounds I didn't even know that I had. So where does this guilt come from? Where do these emotions come from? To heal these wounds, we have to understand where they came from. If this is something you're feeling too, please know it didn't start with you. Many of us carry what I and many others in the spiritual community call the witch wound. Some may call it a money wound, but I feel like for me, it goes way deeper than just a money wound. Witch wounds are a deep inherited fear of being seen, of being too powerful, of wanting too much, and of being too much. And there are many different facets to this witch wound, but we're going to address in this episode purely the wound around money. Now, the term witch wound was popularized by modern mystics and spiritual practitioners to describe this collective trauma, this fear of persecution that lives in the body, especially among women and femme-aligned spiritual workers. And it's not imagined, it's ancestral. Before the Salem witch trials and the burning times across Europe, the women who were later labeled as witches were often respected, independent, and even financially self-sufficient. They were herbalists, folk healers, and midwives. They knew the rhythms of the earth, the plants, the body, and the unseen world. Some lived alone. Many owned land. Some made a living outside the control of church or state, and that made them a threat. When the witch hunts began, it wasn't just about magic. It was about silencing women, about dismantling matriarchal wisdom, about reclaiming control over health, land, power, and knowledge. And then there's the deeper thread, the one that weaves through so many of our spiritual money wounds. We're not just afraid of charging money for our services. We have been conditioned to believe it's wrong. Think about it. For centuries, we have carried shame around this. Christian doctrine taught us that money was unholy, that to be sacred, we must sacrifice, that poverty was purity. Then came colonialism, and with it, a violent unraveling of ancient systems of support and reverence. Across continents, colonizers outlawed indigenous healing practices, dismantled spiritual lineages, and erased the roles of priestesses, midwives, medicine women, and community seers. They burned the herbalist, silenced the oracles, labeled the sacred feminine as dangerous or demonic. The wisdom keepers, those who once held powerful positions in their communities, were disempowered, criminalized, murdered, or forced underground. Colonialism replaced reverence with fear. It told entire generations of women, mystics, and intuitive beings that their power must be hidden, that their gifts should never be spoken of, let alone exchanged for support. Even now, in modern spirituality, we feel the residue, the whispers that say, if it's real, if it's of the light, it should be free. That somehow asking to be supported means you're not spiritual enough. That healing is only pure when it's unpaid. I've even heard people say that making money for your spiritual services is somehow unethical. But let me remind you of something your bones already know. In the old ways, before the burning times, before the shame, wise women were supported. Oracles were honored. Temple priestesses were adorned with gold, fruit, and incense. Medicine women were paid in crops, cloth, money, and care. Communities didn't expect them to give endlessly. Villages supported their healers and seers through sacred exchange, sometimes in bartering, sometimes with money, but always with reverence. So this guilt you feel, it's not yours. It's inherited, and it's safe to let it go. So how can you tell if this wound is still alive in you? Here are a few energetic signs that your pricing isn't aligned yet. 1, you feel tired or drained after sessions. 2, you're overgiving in DMs or emails. I personally still really struggle with this one. I just love talking about all things spirit and witchy, so I naturally want to info dump everything. But there's a balance. I'm still working on it. 3, you dread taking on new clients but keep saying yes. 4, you're feeling uninspired or low energy about your work. 5, you get nervous every time you say your price aloud. 6, you avoid raising your rates, even though your work has deepened. 7, you secretly resent how little you're receiving. Now, please remember, these aren't signs that you're failing. They are invitations, gentle indicators that something in your pricing or your energetic boundaries needs healing. I want you to remember and realize that you should be excited to do this work. You should feel lit up, alive, aligned. If you're not buzzing and beaming on your way to your next healing, coaching, or teaching session, then you're probably not charging enough. Now let's close today with a little gentleness and space to reflect. If you're feeling heavy or tender right now, it's okay. This is deep work. You're not greedy. You're not wrong. You're not a bad spiritual or wellness worker. You're someone who wants to lead with love. And you are now remembering that love includes you too. If you are struggling charging enough or you want to raise your prices but don't know how, here are some journal prompts that you need to reflect on this week. 1, what do I believe will happen if I raise my prices? 2, where in my practice am I feeling tired, resentful, or overextended? 3, what evidence do I have that my work creates transformation or support for others? And finally, 4, If I trusted that spirit wanted me to be supported, how would I show up in my work? I want you to write these out and let it flow. Let your intuition answer. Notice what stories arise. You might be surprised by what your body or your spirit reveals. In my next episode, I'll talk about how to actually price your offerings. And before we close, I want to share 2 beautiful ways to stay connected. First, if you are a spiritual entrepreneur, wellness coach, energy healer, yoga teacher, or anyone in that realm who's ready to bring more clarity and soul into your business, the BELLARUNA Business Academy opens this September. It is a sacred container designed to help you calm the chaos, clarify your offerings, and untangle the digital side of your business, from websites to soulful strategy, while still weaving in magic, ritual, and energy practices that keep your work aligned with your highest self. You can join the waitlist using the link in the show notes. If you're craving a gentler rhythm of support, I also send out a free monthly Moonbeams newsletter. It's where I share rituals, energetic insights, and seasonal magic to keep you grounded and inspired. You'll find the link to subscribe to these in the notes too. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm truly grateful. If this episode resonated, please leave a review and share it with a fellow mystic. Stay magical. Until next time.